Yeah, let's talk about preseason 2022.
Yeah, 2022. I said
I always say
2020.
2020 every single time, Colton. We're
Yeah.
years behind, man.
Yeah. So to start off, we've got this blog post that came out. I don't see what day it actually got posted yesterday. So it would have been the 19th of October. So they talk again about the new dragons that are coming next year that we talked about last show. We've got the Chemtech dragon, the Hextech dragon, or Drake, I should say, are the two new ones, as well as keeping all of the other ones. So I don't want to dive too far into that
Yeah.
since we talked about it in depth last week.
The only thing to add is that we now know how their effects will work. So, like, the camouflage zone from the Chemtech Drake will be around the red buff area, as we saw, and also around the wolf camp area on the map. So that's kind of what we expected. And the Hextech Drake teleporters are going to be channeled teleporters. So you have to like channel on them for like a second or two. They didn't say the channel time. And there's two on the map on each side, and they're kind of spooky, Colton. One of them is from the back of Dragon Pit or the back of Baron Pit to Blue Buff, which is a pretty big distance.
So like along the same top half of the jungle, you're saying?
So like, you know where Dragon is, right? That to the enemy Blue Buff.
Okay, yeah. So like, if I was coming up behind Dragon, it would bring me into that blue buff in that same direction.
Yes, in the exact same direction, yeah. And then the same on like the Baron to like Blue Buff side.
Baron to other Blue Buff.
Yeah, and then the other one is from base gates. So like there's the base gates. Like there's like a little pillar in the middle of like your base. Like it's kind of like a weird rock thing. It's that to like Wolf Camp, or that to like Wraith Camp. There's one on each side.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I don't know if like it's gonna be good. I think there apparently I haven't seen this anywhere. I only read it in a Reddit comment. Apparently there will be a sound cue when people use these. So like, because people are like, oh, they're just dumbing down flanking, right? If you can flank on a dragon fight through the back of dragon to like behind them, then that's OP. But it will have like a sound that you can like listen
to. and I mean, just as much as like you would do that with a regular teleport, like if they're not dumb, they can play around the indicator. Okay, yeah, that doesn't sound like crazy busted. I'm interested in the channel time and like the travel time, because I imagine the travel is almost, and the channel's probably not more than a second and a half, maybe two.
Yeah, they can be canceled by like stuns and CC and stuff like that as well.
It needs to be CC though, not just damage.
Yeah, it says stun. Oh, it says stuns or damage. Okay, so.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say I think that's gonna be one of the big things. Is like it should be anything, because you shouldn't be able to use them. I think like to leave in the middle of a fight. They should only get you in.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull it up like the map just for like stream as well. But it's really interesting. I think they're not too OP, especially as long as like you can't literally use them to like flank and shit fuck the enemy team every single time, right? Like if you have your like Kennen just able, like there's so many dragon fights where like one team's on one side of the pit and the other team's on the other side. If you can just full teleport your team behind them, then that's gross, especially if they don't know. But it sounds like it will be hopefully fine, especially like if the enemy team has like behind the pit warded, they can like just damage them to stop them from teleporting and shit, I guess.
I mean, I think the big thing that we'll probably see it used for is to get like behind river wards to dive. But like with the sound, you'll know. But I think in some cases it'll just be like too late at that point.
Yeah.
But it's also right, like that's not going to happen until the third dragon is spawned.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see that being like a set piece play, so to say, in like LCS next year when this dragon's available. That being said, like if you don't know that it's coming, then you really can't plan a comp around it. But like if you do happen to know, right, like if you run Alistar Elise, you can just run that dive over and over and over, and when they hear that sound, it's already too late. You're behind them.
Yeah.
Because if you were going like from dragon into their blue buff, like you're behind their tower, you just walk up and kill them.
Yeah, for sure. The only other thing to make note of on Drakes, it's not listed anywhere here by the way, is they're changing how Cloud Drake works. So the stacking, what's it called? The stacking effect is no longer the 10% ability haste or whatever. It's now going to be 3.5% out of combat movement speed and 3.5 slow resist.
Okay.
And then the like actual soul is going to be the same, which I think is like a little better. I think ability haste was pretty fucking bad. It was like the only one that like didn't feel that good to like get, I think, randomly.
And I think really like wind should still be movement speed, and then you could make an ability haste dragon, and if you want, you could make it like stronger or work differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So that's the new Drakes. As well, like we talked about a little bit, they are adding objective bounties to some, bigger objectives: Baron, Elder, regular dragons, specific turrets. If you are very, very behind, it seems like is kind of what they're saying. These have a potential to spawn. You get a little indicator. And then you've got a period of time to take that objective, and if you do, you get some bonus gold for it. I don't think it's going to be massive. I just like don't want it to be a play till late, get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Is the biggest thing, but I don't think it's going to be big enough for that to happen.
I mean, like they talk about, you look at the gold mounts, right? So like the Baron or Elder Dragon, which or Dragon Rift Herald objective bounties is the biggest gold biggest one, right? And it's 500 gold split among 5 members with the potential of increasing it by 60%. So if it increases by 300 gold max, so at most, if you're really, really, really far behind, you can get an 800 gold objective split between all 5 of your members. So it's still like not that crazy, right? Like it's.
Yeah, so I mean, like that's the bonus on top of its base value.
Yeah.
So right, like then that could potentially become like just an off the bat 2,400 gold Baron, but
it's just not like insane by any means, though. It's not like it's like game changing. I thought like, I mean, like 500 gold like as the base value, being split among 5 members isn't crazy by any means. Like
yeah, right. Like I think it is a lot easier to talk about it like in the per player aspect, right? Where it's like, okay, cool, you're very far behind and you manage to eke out that dragon, you get a bonus 100 for each player, which like is nice, but it's nothing like, when you get one good fight and like shut down their 10-0-80 carry and you get your nice 1,000 cash in.
Yeah.
And you're like, great. Now my Infinity Edge is complete, or now I can afford Death Cap.
Yeah, the biggest potential is Baron, which gives 300 gold to everyone already, right? Elder does Elder give gold? I actually do not know off the top of my head.
It does, but not as much as Baron.
Yeah, because Baron's 300 a person. So at most, if like the Baron bounty is fully charged at 800 gold, each player is going to be getting 460 gold, which is a lot, but the objective bounty has to be fully charged and the enemy team has to steal it, right? Like, and still,
like you need to be super behind for that to happen. And so even though you now just got 4,000 gold, like, or not even 4,000, even though you just got like 2,500 gold for your team, basically, it's like you were probably down 7k gold.
Yeah.
When that happened. So yeah, that's objective bounties. I'm sure we'll see a lot more conversation and tuning of that as we get into the season. We got
ready
some
to be sad about items.
Yeah, man. So yeah, there's some new items they're talking about. We had gotten a little indication about these about a month ago, I think, and now we have some numbers. So we'll start with the first one. Crown of the Shattered Queen. 70 ability power, 250 health, 600 mana, and 20 ability haste. This is a mythic item. Typically, I think its intent is for mages. So the effects are: you are safeguarded, reducing incoming damage by 50%. In the effect, sorry, it doesn't really even say it, but when you get hit, after taking champion damage, you're safeguarded. Reducing incoming damage by 50%, persists for 1.5 seconds after taking the initial damage. While safeguarded, gain 10 to 40 ability power based on your level. You will regain this effect if you haven't taken damage for at least 40 seconds. And then the mythic passive is for each additional legendary item, you get 1% move speed and 50 health.
Yeah. So I think this is interesting. I would love to work out the gold efficiency of the base stats, because right now, to me, without working out the gold efficiency, this is designed as a like item for like poke mages, because you're supposed to keep your safeguarded effect and have extra AP, right? But I don't see any world in which why a character like a Diana or like something like like an engage kind of like bruisery mages would not want to build this. It gives health, it gives a shitload of AP, it gives ability haste, and when you go in, you reduce 50% of damage for 1.5 seconds after first getting hit. All those things sound like very, very strong parts. And once again, I have to work out the base stats to figure out how efficient they are. But like, you would have to assume, and I don't think this is the case, that it's super not gold efficient, but the safeguarded AP should make it gold efficient. That's the way I would make this work, right? Like, it would, in my perfect world, I think safeguarded AP would be like 10 scaling to like 100 AP, meaning, fuck, I really need to not break my safeguard and maintain this so that I have my item actually doing damage. But the fact that it only gives up to 40 AP scares me a little bit. That scares me, because I'm like, fuck, why do people care about maintaining safeguard for like the AP? They'd rather just like use the incoming damage reduction.
I mean, so right, and I think that's the thing is it's about the damage reduction, and maintaining it is going to be really, really hard to not get hit for 40 seconds. I think like outside of lane, great. Like once you get it, every other wave you can have it, but it's really weird to me, because like 50% obviously is massive.
Yeah.
And it's gonna like give you that option to not get popped by an assassin is right, like the goal that they're going for with it. So like this and Hourglass is gonna be really hard to justify, I guess, like why that's okay to have in the game. Because I think what you're right though, what we're gonna see is this built on assassins who dive in and say, great, my counterplay of popping me when I dive into 5 people is now reduced by 50%. Once that's done, I'll pop my Hourglass and I'll be, good for another 1.5 seconds. And then hopefully my team shows up. Like,
yeah. I mean, I was just gonna say, just quickly doing like quick math calculations on gold efficiency. The item is 3,000-ish gold worth of stats on its base amount without ability haste, because ability haste you can't calculate, because ability haste is different depending on how much ability haste you have and your abilities, yada yada yada. But the mana, health, and ability power is worth about 3,000 gold. Mythics are typically priced in around 3,000 gold, so it's probably going to be close to 100% gold efficient. And then the 10 to 40 AP gives it up to 800 more gold worth of efficiency, which I don't know, man. I would love to see this item be more like a 90% gold efficient item, but then give like way more ability power.
Yeah, I could also, I think, I don't know if I like that it's just a default state as opposed to an active. Like,
yeah,
I get it, but it feels like it should be an item that it's like, it's while, let's say, the cooldown of the active is available, you get your bonus AP, and then like you activate it, and great, like you get reduced damage for whatever time period, whatever percentage, and then like until it's back up, you don't get that AP. Maybe they didn't do that because that 40 seconds isn't going to be reduced by item haste. I don't know. I would think it still is, because I believe item haste affects stuff like GA.
It does, yeah. It's just one of those things. It feels like they're trying to do 2 different items in one, almost. Like, it feels like you could have made this poke mage item where you completely remove the damage reduction aspect of it and just go all in on the, like, if I'm not being touched, then I'm outputting so much more damage. So, like, the enemy, like, their game plan is, fuck, we need to hit this Seraph, because he's just fucking blasting us from far. Like, as soon as we hit him, though, his damage gets reduced by X, you know what I mean? Yeah,
and, like, I see what they're going for, and I do think it is, it's something really nice to be able to have in a mythic, because like obviously you still have Hourglass, But right, like the shield bow nonsense that you see out of like Yone's, Yasuo's, Samira's, like right, this is trying to be some level of parody with that. And I can see that where it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, cool. You get ridiculous stats always, and then if somebody hits you, you just reduce damage by half. Like, I feel like that's a pretty even level to
Oh
the
yeah.
obscenity that is shield bow. But I feel like I would again rather just see this than be fully similar, where it's like, cool, if you were to be dropped below 40%, like maybe you get spell vamped for a short time, or like bonus AP, or like
Mhm.
you can be reduced incoming damage to help you survive. And like that's something that I would do because I like to play control mages, so that's the kind of item I would go for. But it's yeah, I think it's going to be used by the Diana to run in 1v5.
Or like
So
like
we'll
like
we'll see.
I don't think this actually will be abused too much on this character, but like Evelyn. Like Evelyn's a character that I don't think they even thought about Evelyn wanting to ever use this item, but why wouldn't Evelyn use this item? She's going to have the safeguarded effect up. She goes in, has a 1.5 second window where she has reduced damage to just put out all of her shit and then ult out. Like, it's...
Yeah, right. And like the bonus movement speed is amazing for
Yeah.
her. Like she's gonna have a good amount of AP, and like obviously she won't do as much damage as if she had gone, Proto Belt or Harvester. But I think that's really their biggest, I think, hope with
Mhm.
this is I guess how I want to say that, where it's like those characters won't abuse it because they'll do so much more damage with the other ones.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's really the case because I feel like historically in League we've seen that any of those characters can do just fine with the like tankier, lower damage option, right? It's why like Gore Drinker Talon is so good, and like any of the Gore Drinker characters really, like Gore Drinker Tryndamere. It's like traditionally these are characters who will build pure damage, run in, get their kill, and maybe get out, but probably not, unless you're Tryndamere.
Yeah.
But right, like there's no reason why a Diana, or even like I could see this like on the Kassadin build, right? Like you just go this into Frozen Heart on Kassadin. It's like, what does anyone do? What does anyone ever do about that?
Yeah, I guess
Like,
the only thing about Cassidy is that he probably has like a little bit longer fights, but like I don't know. It's so yeah. I just feel like it's not fully realized, I guess. But
yeah, we'll see. I don't want to talk about it forever. So the
yeah,
next
it's
one we
cool.
got is Even Shroud or Evan Shroud. I'm not sure which one they're
I
going
like Even
for.
Shroud.
Even Shroud. So this is another mythic. Gives 200 health, 20 ability haste, 30 armor, 30 magic resist, and the Repentance passive. Repentance. After immobilizing champions or being immobilized, caused that target and all nearby enemies to repent, increasing the damage they take for 12% for 5 seconds. The mythic passive is giving all other legendary items 5 armor and 5 magic resist.
This is spooky.
Yeah, so this is the replacing Abyssal Mask kind of item that they were talking about, but this is a mythic. And this is the I want to go in on support as an engaged support a la Leona, Alistair, Nautilus. And now they just take 12% increased damage for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It doesn't mention an internal cooldown, though I'm sure there has to be one.
Yeah, so the only
I
thing I'm
would
going
really
off
hope so.
right away is like quick. Like I'm gonna do quick little like
Gold
item
efficiency,
efficiency. Yeah,
yeah.
because I like once again they don't give us gold prices, which is weird. I guess maybe they're still working those out. But tank items are always very gold inefficient. This item seems grossly inefficient based on stats, unless they're gonna make it the cheapest mythic ever. 200 health is about like 500 gold worth of health. And then armor magic resist are about 600 each, and then ability haste is like uncalculatable, but like just based on the health, armor, and magic
Yeah, well, I mean,
resist.
so you can't directly calculate it, but I would
Yeah.
say like 20 ability haste. Like I think you could pretty safely say that like 300 gold for 10 ability haste is like
I guess
not a
so. There is a rough calculation of 26 per point, I guess, but like it's one of those things that it is
yeah.
a little weird. It's weirder
It,
to
it,
do
it
than
varies a lot, yeah. And so, I mean, this is going to be cheap. I feel like it'll be around like the 2,500, 2,700 mark that we see with like Locket.
yeah, because it has about
Um,
2,000 gold worth of stats if you look at the ability
okay.
haste on top. So
Yeah. I mean, I just like 12% damage increase is just, I feel like it's so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's also not like an even nice like 10%, which just
It tells me they
numbers
played
like
around
that
with it a bit.
irritate me. Well, no,
At one point it was 10
me.
though.
Yeah, at one point it was 10.
Yeah, but this
um
seems very strong just from like the effect. Who knows how it
mhm.
actually works in game? I guess the main thing to consider is if you're a tank right now, do you give up having wave clear with Sunfire, Frostfire, or Turbo Chem Tank, right? Because
Yeah.
I guess like the main thing they're trying to fill right here is that yeah, your options right now for tank mythic is wave clear, slightly less wave clear on auto attack, and then wave like way less wave clear but engage. And this is kind of like they remove like obviously there's no immolate on this one.
Yeah, but like this isn't for like solo lane tanks. This is for supports.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. I just think that you
Right.
can
So like
easily run it on a top laner. Like
yeah, you definitely could, but right, like I think the point of this is to say like if I want to play Leona, my options are either to go one of the
yeah, tank ones are
Cinder items, which are all pretty shit. I guess Chem Tank could probably be her best one, but it's not good,
Mhm.
right? So like your option is Locket or Shirelias.
Yeah.
And if you build Shirelias, you're not as tanky as you need to be. And so like this lets you go in and be, still tanky and just get in there and do 1 billion damage, or really make your teammates do 1 billion damage.
Yeah. Frostfire, there's really not too much talk about it. They only changed it. I think the only thing that's changed is the way that it scales. It's 12 plus 1% bonus magic damage now, where before it was bonus health or something like that. But now it's based on magic damage, which is kind of interesting.
Well, so I think that 1% is still 1% of your health,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
just saying that the damage it's dealing is magic damage.
Yeah,
Because
so
1% of bonus magic, what is that?
oh, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
assumed it was 1% of your bonus like AP, but I think you're right actually. Yeah.
yeah, no, I think it's still 1% of probably like max health or total health or current, whatever
Oh, maybe it
the
doesn't
current.
scale anymore because it used to be 12 to 30 plus 1%.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
probably
it just feels like they put this in here and I don't see what changed. Like literally everything else is the same except for that 12 is no longer 12 to 30 scaling, I guess. It just feels like a weird thing to change when it's just that, I guess. But maybe I'm missing something. All the stats are the same.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a big enough change to put in here. But anyway, Turbo Chem Tank, 350 health, 25 armor, 25 magic resist, 20 ability haste. The active supercharged give bonus movement speed towards enemies or enemy turn 4 seconds. Once you're near that enemy or after 4 seconds, a shockwave is emitted that slows them by 50% for 1.5 seconds. They've added something on it called Refuel. Moving and dealing damage fills up the Chem Tank. At 100 stacks, your next basic attack deals magic damage to all nearby enemies, increased against minions and monsters. It's really increased against monsters. And the mythic passive is all legendary items are going to give you bonus ability haste and health. So it seems like they gave it almost like the Dead Man's, like right, like it's running around and
Yeah.
dealing damage you're gonna stack stuff up. Your next one just deals bonus damage.
I wonder if they removed
Which
Deadman's because Deadman's was actually just underused after they like nuked it last time.
yeah, and I think that this would be like a good way to do it, I suppose. I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like it still seems really weird, the idea that like I'm filling up and charging my chem tank, and instead of getting my active back, I just hit them for bonus damage.
Yeah.
I feel like it should mimic the actual thing where like I feel like it should be the dead man's passive where you like it run up, it deals bonus damage to the one target, not everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and slows them, and then you could make it where it's like, you know, if you're at 50 stacks, it's minimal effective, and then
Mm-hmm.
like if you proc 100 stack auto, it maybe gives you back like 5 seconds of your cooldown.
Yeah, it's very strange. It feels like they have too many like things going on here, but it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we got Winter's Approach next.
yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah,
No, you're good.
Rachel just came in. Winter's Approach, 400 health, 500 mana, and 15 ability haste. The passive Awe, gain bonus health equal to 8% mana. Mana charge, strike a target with an ability or attack to consume a charge and gain 3 bonus mana, doubled if that target is a champion. Grants a maximum of 360 mana, at which point this item turns into Fimbulwinter. What a name. So this is 400 health, 860 mana, 15 haste. You still have the Awe passive of gaining bonus health equal to your mana. And the Everlasting is the new passive. Immobilizing or slowing, and slowing effect is only for melee characters, so ranged you have to immobilize to get the Everlasting effect. Consumes 3% of your current mana and grants a shield for 3 seconds, absorbing damage. The shield is increased by 80% if more than one enemy is nearby. So this is another tier item, it looks like. Right, so we've got our AD tier item of Mermana. We've got Serifs Embrace is the AP. And this one, I think the intent is to say, like, this is the tank one. That, like, right, like, that you would expect to see on Singed, I think is, like, the proverbial example. This is also the one that I think a lot of people are like, well, Rise is just going to get it and be the dumb tank Rise.
Yeah.
Or, Tank Kassadin is going to get it, right? Because, like, if Tank Kassadin got this item, right, he only has to slow somebody because he's melee to get a big old shield. He can jump into a bunch of people. It gets a lot of, you're going to get a decent amount of health. The good thing is it has no AP. And you'd have to either be Rise or double up on tier items to convert all of that mana into something else.
Yeah.
So I think that they actually did a pretty good job of keeping this item on tanks who just need more mana.
Yeah, I agree. I've like already seen like 1.5 billion cheesy Tom Kench builds that try to include this. I'm very much of the mindset of I don't think stuff's gonna be as good as you guys think. People love theory crafting stuff, and I think there's worlds in which it's great.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes you just stick to like the good old shit and it works. You know what I mean?
The majority of the time, it's just going to be better to stick to the good old shit.
Yeah, there's just like these crazy builds where it's like, oh, I found a new build that incorporates 7 of the new items into it. And I'm like, yeah, but why not just build Anathema's Chains and then Frostfire?
You want to know what's better? It's Frostfire into Chains.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But
yeah, so
cool.
I think Singed is going to be nutty with this, and it looks like an item almost like built for Singed. I'm wondering, like, I feel like especially that plus like he probably just goes Chem Tank, and is really good. But yeah, I'm excited to see this, and I've mentioned it a few times that I do think that there's a bit of a gap in mana items right now. Like they took a lot of them out, especially with taking mana off of Sheen.
Yeah,
and it's not that I think a lot of characters have mana issues, because I don't think most of them do, and half of the characters that Riot releases these days have either no resource or a basically infinite resource. That's a different rant. But yeah, anyway, we want to go on to the next one, the Axiom Arc.
Yeah, this is a little bit interesting. This is the assassin item that we heard a little bit about. It's 55 AD, 10 lethality, 25 ability haste, and its passive is Refresh. Whenever a champion dies within 3 seconds of having damaged them, refund 25% of your ultimate cooldown. Total cooldown. So, once again, it's a legendary item, so it probably won't be like 3,000 gold. It'd be like more like 2,500 gold. It's pretty decent stat wise. Obviously, lethality is like a stat that's like a little bit like weak overall, but 5580 isn't something to like be too like to scoff at. And refresh as a passive is kind of gross on a lot of characters. Like
and 25 haste on its own. Like with 25 haste on its own, and then like if you successfully pull it off, your 100-second cooldown ultimate, let's say,
Hmm.
that was already down, and I know it's not actually this
Yeah.
calculation anymore, but like let's say it was down to 80 seconds with your 25 ability haste,
Yeah.
and you get a quarter of that back, so now it's down to 60 seconds. So it's like, right, you got one item, and your combo plus that item took 40 seconds off your 100-second cooldown ultimate.
Yeah.
It
This
has
is
the
a
potential to be a lot.
Yeah, this is an item where I think if it's like priced in around like 2,500 gold, I think it's really strong, especially on certain characters. I don't think you build it on every single character, right? Like I think
No.
you're missing out on a lot of shit. Like if you go, oh, I really need this on my Zed, so I'll build it first item. I think you're probably missing out on like building like the stats of Yomu's and shit like that. That being
Yeah,
said,
and I like that you brought up Yomu's, because I think that this hopefully will be a nice mirror to that, I
yeah,
suppose. In that, I think right now Yomu's is kind of the option, and a lot of assassins are taking it first, even before they're mythic, where it gives such good stats and it gets you in because you get to run fast. And there are other characters who get to get into the fight because of their ultimate, right? Like
yeah,
Rengar is one that I normally go first item Yomu's if I'm playing Rengar. Now with this, I might go Yomu's into Axiom and probably abuse them both.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think this actually seems pretty fine.
Yeah, no,
Um,
there's also some fringe characters that I think are like really really good at using it. Like a
mhm.
Lee Sin, I think uses this item very well. Lee Sin's a character where I think his ultimate is, I mean, obviously like it is the part of his kit that's really gross. But he has a lot of damage in his kit, and being able to have up your important spell like 20
Yeah.
however percent more often with like getting a kill every single time with your combo is kind of insane actually. Like Rengar
Yeah.
obviously is the best example. I really do think you nailed it with Rengar. It's like when
I
Rengar
so
ults,
okay.
he kills someone.
hmm Yeah, right. So Rengar ult, he kills someone, and then like if he escapes, great. Like he gets to do it again a lot sooner with
Yeah.
this setup. I One thing that I think is really, really, really important to note on this is
Mhm.
it's 25% of your ultimate abilities total cooldown,
Yeah.
not remaining cooldown,
Yeah.
total cooldown. So if you get a double kill, that's half. If you get a
Mhm.
triple kill, it's three quarters. And so depending on the team fight, you very well could get, a double ult from any melee character. Like let's say a Zed goes in to start the fight, pops one person, gets two assists.
Yeah.
He's gonna ult again that fight.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think that I'm more worried about, honestly, than that is bruisers abusing it, which I'm always worried about because that's just been the nature of the game for 10 years. Is that bruisers take everything that's supposed to be fun and are insane with it.
Mhm.
Like imagine this on Wukong. He
Yeah.
goes in, he gets like a three-man knockup, like somebody dies, he uses his ult a second time, and another person dies, and then his ultimate is going to be back up in 10 seconds. He's going to clone, dash around, and then ulti again. Like it's the only like wasted stat is that 10 lethality, but like bruisers can still use that just fine. It's not going to be really efficient on them, but like to me, I think Wukong off the top of my head would be just so fucked with this.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think
Um,
it's crazy.
yeah, and I think like there's going to be a couple other like weird instances. Like I could certainly see a build pop up where like Ezreal goes this item or Lucian goes this
Mhm.
item, and it's like you cull somebody, get one more kill, then you just start culling again.
Yeah.
I don't think that those are going to be super problematic.
Hear me out on the
Um,
crazy build. So I was trying to think, like, it's 25% total, which
mhm.
doesn't mean it's necessarily bad on characters that have low cooldown ultimates, because like the
Yeah.
reality characters with low cooldown ultimates, usually their ultimates like are less important to their kit, but like kind of accented or whatever. Hear me out. The craziest build, Gnar with this item. Because Gnar is already so fringe close to being able to ult twice that if
hmm
you can ult twice as Gnar, like I don't think it's actually good. I just think it's like one of those things that like honestly like
Yeah.
being able to ult twice on Gnar is kind of crazy. Like
Yeah, and like so you can if you have like enough like cloud souls or a stupid amount of
yeah.
ability haste. Um And with this, like you definitely could hit that more consistently. I
Yeah,
mean,
the bigger
obviously not
ones
a ton.
obviously are assassins, and then like the bruisers. Like I think Gangplank's a great example of someone who can abuse this.
Hmm.
Set's a great example of someone who can use this really well.
Yeah, I was scrolling through and I saw Set and I was like, oh, that'd be kind of fucked. Fiora is
Tryndamere.
another one. Oh god,
Tryndamere probably
Tryndamere.
uses it really well.
So I'm wondering if, because I don't think his ultimate goes on cooldown until
Ooh.
after it ends, though.
Yeah, I guess that is fair. Yeah, if that's the case, then he probably doesn't use it too
Yeah,
well.
it's
But
it's not as crazy if that's the case. But yeah, no, right? Like there's a world, and obviously, like with any reset mechanic, it could be there. And like in order to get the full reset, right, you need to either have an obscenely low cooldown or get 4 kills.
mhm.
So it's like, okay, well, great, you get one more. That doesn't change a whole lot. But I just love the idea in my head of like a Lucian just like mowing down two people with a culling, like E forward, get the third kill, and just starts culling again.
Yeah,
Like that'd be such a funny highlight play.
this item's going to be
Um,
used. I don't know if it's actually going to be the most efficient way to build characters. It very much feels like
yeah,
it could be a collector type thing where
I
it's
think it's
really
gonna be a
fun to
bait
use.
for
It
a
feels
lot.
really good to use. But yeah, building this on Kiana is great and all because you can use ults more often. You like one hit people and stuff. But there's probably going to be more efficient builds. Is probably the reality. I would say.
Yeah, and I think realistically the most efficient users of it are going to be the people who have not the low cooldown, use it twice a fight, right?
Mhm.
It's not going to be let me Talon ult twice a fight or like let me Rengar ult and then do it again 25 seconds later. Like I really do think it's going to be more of the Wukong
Mhm.
where it just turns your window of like I can engage a fight every 65 seconds to if the fight is successful at all, I can do it again in 35 seconds now.
Yeah.
Right, and like Rengar can do the same thing, where it's like, great, now because we got one pick, now we take their blue buff. My ultimate's going to be back up any second now. We can do another little thing.
Mhm.
I think that's what we're going to see it, right? Is like the one kill, and then you get 20 seconds back.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it looks
It's cool
interesting.
though.
I can't wait to see it like be stupid on certain characters.
Yeah.
Anyway, Shadow Flame is our next one. This is an AP item. This is kind of the mirror to the Serpent's Fang. So it's 80 ability power, 250 health, damage to champions benefits from 10 to 20 magic penetration based on the target's current health, with max value at 1,000 or less health, and a minimum value at 2,500 or more health. So you deal more damage against low health targets is the easier way to say
Mhm.
that. And it's giving you magic pen against low health targets.
Yeah.
And it's low total health though, so
Yeah, that is a
that's
weird way that they've done. I've never. I don't think there's any other
yeah.
thing in the game that's based on like they literally hard coded as, hey, if they're below 1,000 HP, it will give you max
Mhm.
stats.
Yeah, so right, like one thing to note, I guess, on that would be that, it's almost always going to be full effectiveness against like an enchantress or an AD carry,
Yeah.
or pretty high up there. And then not so much against gigatanks.
Yep.
Um, but you also gain maximum penetration if the target was recently affected by shields. So it's
Is
not as hard as Serpent's Fang of like deal triple damage to shields.
so. Is there
um,
worlds in which getting shielded as a full tank is not is like what's the opposite of beneficial? Detrimental.
yeah,
In theory,
I.
right? There is a cutoff, especially if it's a small shield. Like
Mhm.
what's a like baby? Like there's definitely like if I Tom can
When
shield
I
myself.
when I Zillion EU and you get the
Yeah,
Airy Shield.
yeah. In theory, that makes you take a 20% magic pen when you normally would have taken 10.
Well, I think it's flat.
Yeah, yeah. But like yeah, so it would have been like you would have had the damage done to you would have been 20 magic pen because you got shielded rather than 10 because you had more than 2,500 health.
Hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, right. So like me shielding you made you take more damage there's a world in which that can happen. I don't think it will often. I think
No.
honestly my example is probably going to be like the only one I'll ever see as a player,
Yeah.
because the vast majority of shields in this game are not super small.
Mhm.
Um, or I suppose like the airy shield with a heal character that's not a shield character, but like the shield that you get when I zoom you with Zillion E is right. It's like 10. Airy is a
Yeah,
very small shield. I yeah, that's odd.
that is funny though.
It's weird that like they've done that, and then it just also doesn't like deal bonus damage against shields, which like I get why. And as an Oriana player, I would be pissed if that was the case.
Yeah.
Um, but that's weird. Cosmic Drive looks like a couple of changes to that one if you want to read through those.
Yeah, the only real changes to it is that after dealing Cosmic Drive originally was wait, what's
Just once you have enough Cosmic Drive is just once you have enough AP, you always have bonus haste and bonus move speed. They've changed
Okay.
it now
Yeah.
to more in line with Phase Rush that
Yeah.
after damaging a champion with 3 separate attacks or spells, gain 30% movement speed, decaying down to 15%, and 40 ability power until leaving combat.
I think
So
this is fine. This is cool.
yeah, I think this is fine. Honestly, I think it pushes it. I don't know if it really takes it away because like I think a lot more control mages were going Cosmic Drive. Like it's LeBlanc's second item in most
Yeah.
builds, just because it gives so much haste and move speed.
Yeah, like the main thing is it removes movement speed from the game, like out of the combat game, right? Like so after your second item on LeBlanc, you now just have like normally in League of Legends you have 20 bonus movement speed, which is a lot in League. Like that's why we see tons of characters build Yomu second because movement speed is a fucking good stat. So this makes
it's a crazy stat.
That movement speed is only gonna actually like contribute to like team fights and stuff like that. You're not just gonna be roaming around the map faster on second item purchase.
So you get 5% flat
Yeah.
with the item, which you already I don't know, you didn't get any flat with the current iteration. So you still do get a little bit of it, like always when out of combat. The having to do the 3 rotations to get the movement speed and the ability power, so both of those trigger after 3 abilities. I do think that is going to shift the way the item is used. Right, because like on LeBlanc, because I think she is the most in the meta Cosmic Drive user.
Yeah.
Right, she W's in 1 ability, EQ, that's 3, it procs, or even if she like W auto QE.
Yeah.
The only ability that benefits from that bonus ability power is going to be her E or another mimicked ability.
Yeah.
Right, so she's going to only get that movement speed to get out. Now, if I'm playing a character like Oriana and I do my QWE, I've procced it, I have bonus movement speed, I've had my phase rush, and I can QW again and keep staying in my range to like effectively keep my 15% move speed, to keep my bonus ability power. So I like that, taking it away from that assassin usage a little more.
Yeah, I guess it's a weird calculation, right? Because it's less AP flat already, right? And it's also but it goes to being more AP after the proc or whatever. So there is a world in which like that last ability, like LeBlanc throws at her shit and only her like final ability is affected by it. That being 20 AP more, I guess maybe could neutralize a lot of the damage, but it definitely feels like it's going to be way less like of a hey, just run around the map and fuck shit up. More like you have to play out team fights. And guess what? If you do proc this and you can keep it up the entire team fight, you're doing great. Like this is crazy efficient. Like a Rise would fucking love an item like this, for sure. But
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, okay. I also think that this will like because I think that other characters that really benefit from this are like the super poke mages. Which would be right. Like I think Xerath, I like getting this item on, and I get it on Zillion every game pretty much. So I like what they're doing with this.
I would also love to know the time in between stuff like if are you able to wind up a Xerath Q, hit it, wind up another Xerath Q, hit it, wind up another Xerath Q and hit it, and like hit the proc, or is it like a 3-second window where you have to hit your shit? Like I'd be interested in that as well, but we'll find out.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be a pretty small window. I would again think pretty similar to Phase Rush.
Yeah,
but we'll see. So up next we've got Horizon Focus. 110 ability power, 150 health. It now includes slows to trigger it. So that's the only real change is that you don't need to be a certain. It was before you get the bonus damage at a certain
Yeah.
distance if you immobilize them, or if it's slowed.
Yeah, I think it's like a really good change though. I think it's like helps out on a lot of characters. I mean, there's tons of characters that don't actually have hard CC in their kit, or their hard CC is much harder to proc. Like I think like a Zyra is a really good example where Zyra loves building this item, but you have to hit your E to actually proc it. You know what I mean? Whereas now, like your slow plant literally will just trigger this. So it's cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, the Rally's interaction is great.
Yeah, for sure.
Next is Demonic Embrace. Demonic Embrace. So it has 60 AP, 450 HP, dealing ability damage burns enemies for 2/1.2% max health, magic damage every second for 4 seconds, and it converts 2% of your bonus health into ability power. So this is interesting. I think conversion items are always like a little bit spooky put in the game because they're hard to math out whether they're good or not, but this is a little weird. I obviously like Singed is a great user of this.
Yeah, right, yeah. Singed and Vlad are the big two, and I'm thinking immediately like off the bat like the possibilities of this on Singed plus the other new item that we talked about could be scary. I do like the idea of converting bonus health to ability power a little bit, in that if they really what I think they're trying to do with this is to say this is for tanks that want to deal more damage and have AP ratios kind of, so like the Zac, the Singed, even like Maokai or Nunu in some cases. But we're not trying to like encourage the double burn item on like Anivia, on Karthus.
Yeah.
So I like moving it towards that where it's like, yeah, if you want to get your Burny spell, you can get your, one. And then if you do this, it's going to be kind of inefficient unless you're a really niche character.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I really like this change. Does Rallies give health?
Yeah, I think it still does.
It does? Okay. I wasn't sure because I was going to say, like, I guess there's still, like, characters like Malzahar who can still kind of build this because their core is, like, yeah, Rallies gives 350 HP. Because I was just, like, wondering if, like, this might actually be even better for Malzahar because Malzahar's current build is Leandri's, Rallies, into Demonic. And you probably have enough health to make use of the conversion, I would assume, with that core.
Yeah, like there's definitely going to be that, and again, right, like anyone, if they want to then take the mana into HP, you're going to get a bunch there.
Yeah, it's great.
So yep, that's Demonic. I'm realizing we're an hour into the show, so I think we got to move through these a little faster. Even though we always just want to keep talking. So Serifs Embrace. Let's see here. 80 ability power, 860 mana, 250 health. Gain ability haste equal to 1.3% of your bonus mana. Restore health equal to 40% of mana spent up to 25 to 50 plus 10% AP per cast. So you get health back when you cast spells, and you get bonus haste based on your mana. It looks like they're then taking away the just turning total mana into AP.
Yeah, they don't like it just being like, hey, you build this item and then eventually you have 1,000 AP.
Yeah, which I get that, but I do like the concept of like I can build an inefficient early item to have stupid AP late. I think with how they changed tier to not be that anymore, really, like you proc it fast enough and can buy it late. It didn't have that same niche that it used to back in the old like Catalyst tier start days. Where you go like Rod of Ages, Archangels, and then at 40 minutes become a monster. I think this is fine. I do also think that this will be nice to give a lot of the mages who don't have healing in their kit some bonus sustain in lane, whereas all of the shield bow users, any of the Conqueror users, or characters that get to build any kind of vamp
already
kind of have that.
Yeah, so the next one is Force of Nature, which was a terrible before. They're mainly changing this. They gave it 10 extra magic resist, and its passive is a little bit different now. So you absorb magic damage from enemy champions, gaining a stack of steadfast up to 6 stacks, originally 5. Enemy immobilizing effects grant additional 2 stacks. So if someone's using CC on you, you get 2 stacks instead of 1, stacking up to 6. When you're at 6 stacks, you take 20% reduced magic damage and gain 10% increased movement speed. So rather than getting just like a little bit of bonus MR for every like stack and then getting like a bunch when you're fully stacked, you now just take 20% reduced magic damage when you're fully stacked. So I think this item's actually insane on like a lot of tanks. Like this is like a good magic resist item now. Like I'm probably gonna build this in Tom Kench, I think.
And so again, I'm just looking.
It's
Immobilizing is 2. Each
you stack
instance
it
of
really
damage
fast,
is
yeah.
1. Yeah, you stack that real fast.
It obviously doesn't have like as many effects. Like it still is going to be a super not gold efficient item when it's not stacked, and it doesn't get the gold efficiency as it's stacking up. It just becomes like super gold efficient when it's stacked.
Ticks over.
But it seems really good when it's stacked up. I think like keeping it up is going to be like a little bit spooky, but if you're just running at someone as like a Tom Kench where they just have to hit you, it's going to be so fucking good.
Yeah, and I also think it just in the context of top lane where we're going to see it the most, like any Bummy Cinder item is going to consistently proc this.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like being near them, even if they aren't hitting you, it's going to proc it pretty quick. If they hit you with like an ability and an auto, that's 2. Their Bummy is probably already procced twice. Like you're getting there real quickly.
Yeah.
So outside of those quick burst trades, it'll probably be effective. And I also think it being an AP item, a lot of AP characters are going to be going for that more sustained interaction. Whereas like, a Jace sure is going to Q onto you and then pop you away and you won't get anything from it. But you weren't building this into Jace.
Yeah.
Knight's Vow.
Yeah, the only thing like that's changed here is that rather than like getting more damage reduction and stuff, you're sacrificing the increased damage reduction redirect thing for like less, but now that person that you've like vowed heals you when they hit champions for 8%. So you're taking 10% of the damage they take, but you're healing for 8% of the damage they deal, which there's no way this isn't better just because you're putting this on a carry. There is no world in which you're not choosing to put this in a carry, meaning your carry is the damage dealer. They will always be doing high damage and they will always be focused, meaning you're both aspects of that is like the dream of what you want. It's just so fucking good, man. Like I actually don't, this item seems whack now.
Yeah, and so they also added if they're under 30% health, your redirection is increased to 20%.
Oh yeah, the old if you were like if they were low, it was like you got movement speed or something. But
okay, but yeah, healing for 8% of the damage they deal. Also, I love the typo that it just says designate an ally who is worth, because can't wait for people to be worth in all chat. Just kidding, they're getting rid of it. But yeah, I could see this being disgusting on certain setups.
I mean, like even on like a burst character, like what if I'm playing Tom Kench and I put it on Trevor playing an assassin and he goes in and one hit someone and then I just heal for 8% of that damage. Like I just get a burst heal.
Right? Or like I think a one way you could go is like imagine this with like a Taric Yi. Like it was already unkillable, but now like the Taric is also getting giga healed.
It's so crazy.
I'm interested to see. I'm also interested to see if we get any instances of like I would imagine it's still only one ally can be targeted by it. So I couldn't have like my top laner and my support put it on my AD carry. But I'm wondering if we might see instances of bot lane double bruisers who both get it and just put it on each other.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Who are just like healing each other for right, because at that point it's just like you just get 8% spell vamp and one of us can't be bursted easily.
Yeah.
But anyway, Abyssal Mask, since they moved its old passive to the new mythic, it now gives 400 health, 30 magic resist, 10 haste, and the passive on it is Unmake. Curse nearby enemy champions, reducing their magic resistance. For each cursed enemy, gain 7 magic resistance. So I think it's just an area of effect magic resist drain, really, right? Theirs is reduced, you get bonus. Depending on the numbers that it's at, I really hope it's not a world where it's efficient enough to go on like control mages like it used to be back in the day. But I would hope that they've learned from that, and that this
Yeah.
is like the size of it and the efficiency of it really only works for like engaged tanks.
I think it's going to be a cheaper item. I don't see a way that it's not cheaper because they reduced its base magic resist by 30 to obviously give it that like gain magic resist passive. So like you have to like be hitting every single enemy character to be getting back up to the old magic resist value.
Yeah.
Or sorry, being near
I mean, but
base.
unless the reduction is huge.
Yeah, if the reduction's like still like the 15% or whatever the fucking bullshit it was,
Yeah.
like I don't think it will be, but it could be good. It could also be like really bad. Runes, these aren't too crazy. I'll just quickly go through them. Lethal tempo, so gain attack speed for 6 seconds when striking an enemy at least one enemy champion with an attack. This effect stacks up to 6 times. While this effect is at its cap, also gain attack range and increase your attack speed cap to 3.0. So you no longer break the attack speed cap. It just sets your attack speed cap to 3.0. But then you get bonus range. So like you're trading off like this crazy like Kog'Maw dream fantasy where you have 8.0 attack speed. But you have increased range. So like this might be like actually good on a lot of AD carries where if you're like auto attacking a bunch, now you're just like a longer range AD carry in a fight. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I really like that. Because I think the lethal tempo is always, I think the intent has been like right for the AD carry hyper carry.
Yeah.
To proc it and then become the machine gun carry. So it was never really realistic to be able to use 5% attack speed. Like that's why the game caps at 2.5.
Yeah.
Generally is because like even above like 1.5, it's hard to use that efficiently.
Yeah.
So yeah, the bonus range is gonna be nice. I'm worried if it's gonna be a lot because then
it'll
we
probably
might
be 50
hit like,
would be my guess, but
yeah, like I just don't want the Kog'Maw to now be even more untouchable.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I like it. I'm also wondering if that is going to be the same effect for melee characters. Because on melee that might be nuts. Anyway, Glacial Augment.
So weird.
Immobilizing an enemy champion will cause 3 glacial rays to emanate from them towards you and other nearby champions, creating frozen zones for a few seconds that slow enemies for 40% and reduce their damage by 15% against your allies, not including yourself. So they've really changed that. Right? Like they did the whole icy rays thing before, but that was like just bonus slowing. The fact that these zones are going to reduce the damage they deal to your allies is nice. It's weird. I really don't know who is going to use this.
Leona is the only one in the game that I can think of because she loves Aftershock, but she also probably doesn't need Aftershock. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Okay. First strike. I think there's been a lot of talk about this, but I think we have to kind of just say it. Damaging an enemy champion with an attack or ability before they do so grants 5 gold and first strike for 3 seconds, causing your next attacks and abilities to deal 12% extra damage against them and granting 100% of that 12% bonus of the damage dealt as gold. So you run in with your big damage combo and you get 50 extra gold or so.
Yeah.
So I think that it's gonna be very, very dependent on the numbers.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean the 12% extra damage I think is huge in the fact that just like it enables you to pop them. Right, where it's like instead of having to press the attack with 3 autos, you just get it.
Yeah.
If you hit them first, but also hitting them first is I think that's one thing that a lot of people are discounting.
Yeah.
Right, like there's not a world in which you should get this in lane on a melee assassin ever.
Yeah, on a melee assassin, yeah.
Right, and I think that's like the go-to people thing that people are complaining about is like, oh, well, like X character, well, it's like they really shouldn't get that in most cases.
The main thing I've seen is like, well, this is like bullshit because like late game, Rengar comes out of nowhere, one hits me for my 2000 HP, and he gets an extra 250 gold on top of the 300 gold because 12% of 2000 damage is whatever, right? But the problem I have with that, I guess, is that I don't think that like Rengar might actually use this, but like I would say most characters can't give up their keystone as easily as people are making it out to be. Like this keystone doesn't do a lot. I guess it gives you 12% damage when you get first jump on someone, but outside of that, like you're losing electric, you're losing dark hearts, you're losing all this shit.
Well, so yeah, I think Rengar is a pretty decent example because like he does use electrocute well.
Yeah.
I don't think he needs it. I think Rengar would be one of the really, really good users of this. I think Kha'Zix would be a really good user of it. But I don't think that there's a lot. And the fact that it is actually useless, it is actually gives you 0 anything if you don't get the first strike.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other keystone that does that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean,
affection. Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, you're right. You have to proc electrocute. You have to proc phase rush. So I guess all of them are a little conditional, but like the fact that getting hit by like a random Xerath Q could just disable your keystone for the fight. I don't know the specifics of how it works.
Yeah.
If it's unique per champion, but so yeah, that's the preseason stuff. I know we went pretty long, and I'm sure we could have gone much longer. But I think we want to try and get through the patch and at least into some of the emails before the show. Do we want to hop right?
The only last thing there is that they talk about Scuttle. Just they're making it so you don't have to coin flip Scuttles because first Scuttle has way less HP and gives 80% reduced XP. So meaning you can't like clear and get level 4 off Scuttle. You have to like full clear to get level 4. And it doesn't just like fucking change the tempo of the game so much. So that's kind of cool.
Wait, so is it Rift Scuttle or the Scuttle Crab?
Like the Rift Scuttle, like the
okay. So it's Scuttle Crab. Okay, yes, okay, it's the Rift Scuttler. Gotcha. I thought that it was talking about Rift Herald when I briefly read over it. Okay, so that makes sense.
It's just it's pretty old. Just like now, if your jungler your jungler probably won't suicide over Scuttle, or if you like,
and like if you get double Scuttled, you don't lose the game.
Yeah, exactly, because it's worth 80% less experience for those two. So it's cool. I think it's good.
Yeah.